Hey, what's up, what's up? You don't know how much I've missed all of you. Your support and care gives me reason to return to this channel. I started this back in September but could never bring myself to finish it, but here we are. I've run out of conversation. Love IwaOi.
Iwa-chan, hurry up, we're gonna be late. I've been ready for the past half hour, I'm literally waiting on you. Oikawa rolled his eyes as he put his socks and shoes on, getting up to join his boyfriend at the door. Do we really have to do this? Yes. Going for a bike ride with the group is perfect for bonding. Plus most of them are already there, so. Iwaizumi blinked once. Twice. Then. What? I forgot to tell you, it started 15 minutes ago. Iwaizumi groaned and smacked himself in the head. This was to be expected. Oikawa would often say a later time than it actually was, so Iwaizumi got used to being ready fairly early. Let's just go. They both got in the car, Oikawa grabbing for the keys in Iwaizumi's hand. No, I'm driving. But you drive like a maniac when we're late. You mean every day? Iwaizumi smirked and started the ignition. I still don't see why I'm here. If I gotta be here, you do too. Kuru ruffled the shorter boy's hair. At least you're getting out. So from what I remember, Kuru and Hinata are running, Yamaguchi, Semi, Noya, and Kenma are skating, Akashi and Suga are biking, and Iwa-chan and I are walking, correct? Yep. Let's get this going then. All the boys put on their gear and leave once they are ready. They all plan to meet up at the waterfall, which is approximately 3 miles away. Oikawa put in his earbud and grabbed Iwaizumi's hand. Ready to go? Iwaizumi nodded, hiding his blush in his sweatshirt. Every touch that Oikawa gave him sent sparks through him. They began walking, hand in hand, Oikawa occasionally humming along to the music. Iwaizumi loved his boyfriend dearly, and seeing his face reflecting in the sunlight as they walked sent shivers down his spine. You're really pretty, you know. Oikawa snapped out of his musical trance and looked at his boyfriend with endearment. You're prettier. No, you. Iwaizumi said, his face forming into a smile. Not one of the fake ones he uses for his classmates and teammates, the one reserved for those dear to him. The one only Oikawa has seen outside of family. The one full of pure compassion. Oikawa smiled back brightly. I love you. I love you too, my dear. I'll never leave you, ever. Iwaizumi smiled fondly. Will you promise me? Promise you what? Promise me, that you'll never leave me. Iwaizumi chuckled. I promise. I'll never leave you no matter how bad things get. I promise too. He smiled, and stared back at the sun, the light reflecting off of his chocolate brown eyes. Now let's go catch up with the others, they are probably waiting for us 'cause you walk so slow. Iwaizumi lightly hit him atop his head and ran, Oikawa chasing after him and yelling profanities. That was so much fun, guys. Agreed, very calming. I liked it. I haven't skated in a while, so it was refreshing. I told you this would be fun. Kenma rolled his eyes. I'm so glad you guys had fun, we should do this again sometime. They all said their goodbyes and parted ways, Oikawa driving. Yeah, no, you're not driving, we almost crashed last time. Fair, but I did get us here faster. Oikawa giggled and placed his hand on Iwaizumi's thigh, starting the ignition. A few days later, Oikawa was off visiting family while Iwaizumi sat at home. He sighed, standing up to find something to do as he waited for his boyfriend to return in a few hours. He cleaned the house for a while, but after finding his mind wandering to his boyfriend, he decided to leave the house. In private messages. Off to the store, be back home soon if I'm not there when you get back. Okay. Be back home in like 2 hours, love you, Red Heart. Red Heart. Iwaizumi walked to the grocery store, the cold breeze making him shiver. He had forgotten a jacket, as he didn't check the weather. He snuggled himself into his shirt and continued walking in the cold. His mind wandered as he crossed the many streets of Miyagi. Oikawa was so good to him. Did he even deserve him? Why can he think of nothing but the boy? Is he a burden? His thoughts grew larger and larger, and he stopped focusing on the world around him. He wasn't about to snap out of his thoughts anytime soon. Not at the buzzing of his phone from Oikawa, who was letting him know it ended early. Not for the grocery store he didn't even realize he passed. Not even for the two headlights coming straight towards him. Iwa-chan. Oikawa called out into the empty household. I guess he's still at the store, he thought. He hummed to himself as he took off his coat, and quirked an eyebrow at his phone lightly buzzing in his pocket. He took the phone out and looked at the caller ID. Iwa-chan's father. He felt something drop into the pit of his stomach. Something was off about this. He shook off the feeling and picked up. Hello? He heard light sniffling on the other side of the line and his mind immediately filled with worry. Sir? Are you okay? Is something wrong? It's Iwaizumi. Oikawa immediately tensed, but took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. Is he okay? That's all I need to know. I don't want to push you out of your comfort zone. I don't know. A sob escaped the father's throat and Oikawa filled with sympathy and fear. Okay, that's okay. Where is he? The hospital, Miyagi-chuo. I'll be there soon, sir. Oikawa hung up and grabbed his keys. He'll be okay, right? He has to be. At the hospital. Oikawa bounced his leg and fiddled with his fingers as he sat in the chair outside the room. He had always hated hospitals. The white walls and smell of disinfectant was never welcoming. Nothing good had ever happened to him here, and he had a sinking feeling this wouldn't turn out good either. He shook his head and collected his thoughts. He promised, remember? He promised. He reassured himself until the nurse popped up next to him. Hello sir, is he okay? What happened? He got hit by a car. He has several injuries and is planned to have surgery a few hours from now. There's a low chance of survival, but there's no other option available. A choked sob escaped Iwaizumi's father's throat at the words. Oikawa didn't appreciate the tone in which the nurse was using. How could he be so monotone and uncaring about this? He brushed it off, not having the emotional stability for confrontation. Thank you, can we go see him? Yes, one at a time. Iwaizumi's dad went in first, spending about 2 hours in there before leaving. Oikawa sat outside, twiddling his thumbs and engulfing into his own thoughts. Mr. Toru? You may enter. Oikawa basically bounded towards the door. He had been able to keep it together the entire time, but seeing his boyfriend look so weak, so frail was enough to break him. Iwa. He fell at the side of the boy's bed, sobbing heavily into the sheets. Please, please don't leave. I don't know if I could handle it. The boy lay there, unresponsive. The only noises in the room were Oikawa's cries and the heart monitor's steady beeps. Why? Why me? Why you? You don't deserve this. Please don't leave. He lightly punched the bed repeatedly. You promised. Please. He breathed in time with every other beep of the heart monitor, to stay connected to this earth. He watched his boyfriend breathe as tears rolled down his cheeks. I know it's not your fault. I know. I just don't want you to go. I love every part of you, you know. I know you forget it sometimes, and that's okay. I know I love you, and having to reinforce that in you is okay with me. I wish I could have spent more time with you. Stupid fucking family reunion, this wouldn't have happened if I was there. It's not their fault, they didn't know. I didn't know. I love you. I love you so much, so fucking much. I wish you didn't have to leave. He took a deep breath before continuing. But I'll understand if you do. It'll take time, but I'll understand. I love you. The nurse knocked on the door before entering. It's time. Oikoa visibly flicked at the words, grabbing Iwazumi's hand. More nurses entered the room and started wheeling him away, gently forcing Oikoa to let go. Mr. Toru and Mr. Hajime? Both boys jumped at their names, looking at the nurse hopefully. The nurse shut his eyes and shook his head. He's in a coma now, I'm sorry. We don't know for how long, but we estimate at least a year. In a grup chat. How's everyone's night going? Pretty blandly. You all wanna head to the park? Sure. Is everyone free? Sure. Hey Oikoa, are you sure you're up to it? Yeah. I'm fine guys, don't worry. If you say so, but let us know if you ever need help. Hands in a heart shape. We're here for you if you need anything. Thanks guys, but truly I'm fine. See you there in an hour. Face blowing a kiss. Oikoa grabbed his keys and left his all too empty house. The silence had been eating at him this past week, and he really needed people to talk to. Occasionally he would hear of the man's voice as Oikoa cooked their favorite meals, a mumble as he drifted to sleep. But it was nothing, just his imagination. He'd spent all his free time at the hospital, with the white walls and the smell of disinfectant. It was never comfortable, never a safe space for him. He felt there was nowhere and no one he could properly express his emotions with. No one except for. He opened the door and grabbed his keys off the rack, attempting to clear his head. He got in the passenger seat, then got out and got in the driver's seat. Right. He turned the key, and started the ignition, resting his hand on the cold leather of the passenger seat. Hi guys. Oikoa walked up to the few people who had shown up so far, looking cheery. You're early. Akashi and Kenma looked him up and down and noticed how different he looked. His cheery behavior could easily be seen through if you looked closely. His bags were much larger under his eyes, his stance weaker. His hair was slightly unkempt, something that would have made the old Oikoa freak out but now went unnoticed. His eyes held a faraway look, searching for something no one could find. Haha yeah, I felt like being on time today. It's something I was always nagged about, he thought, but never said. After about 10 minutes, everyone had shown up. You guys ready to start? Yeah, I'm gonna be walking this time so Oikoa's not alone. Sugar pouted. But then Akashi glared at him and he shut up. They began walking, with Kenma skating a little slower to keep pace with the walkers. Oikoa looked up at the setting sun and reached out to his right. He grasped for a hand but was met with nothing. Kenma noticed this and grabbed it, skating much slower and giving Oikoa a weak smile of sympathy. You feeling okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Why? Kenma sighed, and went back to looking forward. You don't have to lie and hide your feelings, Oikoa. I can tell you get told that a lot because you're an emotional person. Everyone experiences grief in different ways. If you have to let it out, that's okay. Oikoa felt like he should be sad, but he wasn't. He felt nothing. Thank you, but truly I'll be okay. Just know that we care about you, okay? We're here if you ever need anyone to talk to. They skated in silence, Akashi now holding his hand because it's hard to skate that slow. Akashi's hand was too soft, Kenma's a little too rough. They didn't feel right, but they were comforting in a different way. Back at his home. Oikoa entered his all-too-quiet house and placed his keys on the rack next to a similar set. He made his way through the house in silence, the smell of cooking no longer welcoming him home. The warmth he felt simply being in the presence of him. His face, his way of caring, the way he would smile when it was just Oikoa around. When he would be himself. He missed it. He craved it. He needed to see it again. He had promised him, after all. He promised he wouldn't leave, he promised he would never leave. He didn't like this feeling, he didn't like feeling so pitied and weak. He wanted it all to stop. He wanted the thoughts to shut up, for everything to be good again. He wanted Iwaizumi back. He knew there was only one way to see him again, to feel his embrace, but he wasn't sure if he wanted to take it. He knew people were willing to help, he knew they cared for him, but it'd never be the same. He just couldn't. He knew he couldn't. They tried, they really did. But they weren't him. No one ever would be. No one felt like him. No one would ever feel like him. No one felt like home like he did. His thoughts grew louder and louder, and he pressed his hands against his ears. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. End of part 1. I don't know, I might continue this.